Everyone, hope all of you are well and welcome to my lesson once again. Okay, for today's lesson, we are going to look at writing a descriptive essay. And this lesson will be specifically focusing on describing a place. So, are you ready for the lesson today? Alright, so our lesson today is based on the workshop that was held last week. Okay, so before we start the descriptive writing task, we will do a warm-up activity. And to do that, you have to download the task sheet that has been attached at the video description. So please get that task sheet downloaded, get them printed. If you can't get it printed, it's okay, never mind. You can just browse through the worksheet and take notes on what's going to happen next. Okay, so are you ready? Okay, now you look at the picture given here. You are given an apple tree, a picture of an apple tree. Now, how would you describe this picture? Or how would you describe this tree? Are you just going to describe it as an apple tree? Or a big apple tree? Or an apple tree with a lot of apples? Now, how are you going to describe this? Think about it. Pause this video and think about ways you want to describe this apple tree. Think about all the simple and all the small details that you can put them together into a description. Think about the leaves. Think about the fruits. Think about the five senses. Think about the five senses that you can use to describe this tree and the fruit. Okay? So let us go to the next slide. Now, here is an example describing the apple tree. Look at the phrases and descriptive ideas that I have used to describe the apple tree here. There it stood towering above in the middle of the orchard, a beautiful apple tree with emerald green leaves glimmering due to the pristine dew settled on the fresh leaves. Luscious red apples dangled in the branches, waiting to be savored. It was a wonderful sight, very close to nature. Now, if you look at this paragraph, I have used colors. I've used green, I have used red, and then I have used an idea of the glimmering. Okay, the word glimmering here, luscious. Okay, most of the idea here, I have used the sense of sight to describe the apple tree. Now, in the next slide, I'm going to show you another example of how you can use the senses, one of the five senses, to describe an apple tree. So let us look at the next slide. Okay, this is an example using another idea on describing the tree. Okay, let us see. The apple tree of autumn was containing the luscious red glossy fruits. The apples I could eat. I could imagine the crunch as the sweetness spread over my tongue. I could pull the fruit from my lips, my eyes catching on the white flesh, watching how the red seeped in to make a pink band beneath. Okay, you see? Okay, so here, this is the question that we are going to focus today. Okay, describe an old and deserted house that you explored one day. Now, I have underlined some of the words that have been given in this question. These are the words that you need to focus on. Alright, now when you're writing a descriptive essay, you have to remember what you want to describe. And remember, writing a descriptive essay is not writing a narrative. Okay, you can have the element of narrative in descriptive writing, but you have to be very sure that you are describing what is asked to be described. Okay, for example here, describe an old and deserted house that you explored one day. Okay, so you're going to describe a house here. And how the house supposed to look like? It's supposed to be an old house. That is why I have underlined the word old here. And the old house is also deserted. Nobody lives in the house. Okay, so you have to remember, this house is old and deserted. So what are the vocabulary, what are the descriptive phrases that you need to use to describe an old and deserted house? And what did you do to the house? You explored the house one day. So when it is stated one day here, you have to say when was the day. You can put in the idea what time of the day it was. Okay, why you went to the house, and what was the reason you want to explore the house. Why you were very curious about the house. Okay, you can put all these questions on a piece of paper, because when you write the essay later, you can use all these the questions that I'm giving here to write your descriptions. Alright, so this is the question. Okay, now let us move on to the next slide. Now, before we start writing the descriptive ideas, the underlined words here, I want you to look for some other words to describe an old house. Or what are the characteristics of an old house that you can think of? So here I have put the physical condition of the house. How does an old house that has been deserted looks like? Okay, so you look at this words that I've used here: dusty, old, antique, rickety door, broken, cobwebs, rusty, creaky gate. Okay, so these are some words that you can use to describe the old house, the physical condition of the old house. Now, if you have anything else that you can add to this idea, it's good. Okay, if you have any other ideas, any other words that you want to use instead of just an old house, okay, it's very good, very well done. So think of words, okay, words or phrases that can be used to describe the old house. Okay, now the next one. Now here we are going to create the mood of the old house. We also need some descriptive ideas to create the mood of the old house. Okay, so how to create the mood now? Imagine how the old house looks like. Okay, how you feel when you enter an old house. You imagine, you put yourself, okay, because you are writing the essay, so you put yourself into this condition where you are entering an old deserted house. So how you feel? You will definitely feel afraid. Okay, you would feel eerie. Okay, and the house would look creepy, okay, or strange, or bizarre, and empty, quiet, or cold. Okay, so these are some ideas, some words, okay, that you can use to describe the mood, okay, to create the mood of an old deserted house, which I have shown here. Now, as I said earlier, these are just some ideas which you can actually extend them into a more interesting phrases or words, so that your essay will look interesting. Next, we are going to look at how do we use the word deserted house, okay, in other ways. Okay, how to say a deserted house in other ways. Okay, so I have given a few words. You can say an empty house, a vacated house, an abandoned house, an uninhabited house, uninhabited house, forgotten abode, okay, a neglected house. Okay, so these are some examples that you can use to describe the deserted house, instead of keep on repeating the idea deserted, deserted, and deserted. You see, it doesn't give a variety to your sentence. You can say deserted, abandoned, or uninhabited. You see, you bring different ideas, okay, different words that has the same meaning. Okay, now let us move on to the next slide. Alright, so this is the next part of the question. You explored one day. So as I said earlier, think when was the day. Okay, think a day. Was it in the morning or afternoon? Or and did you go alone or with another friend? Okay, and remember, if you are going with a friend, the story is not about your friend. It is about you exploring the house. Okay, so put it in your lens, not your friend's lens. Alright? Okay, let us move on to the next slide. Okay, as you enter the house, now what were the things seen in the house? Now it's time for you to describe the things that you see in the house. Now you are describing an old and deserted house. So as you describe, you should describe the things that you see in the house. Or you can start from the entrance of the house. What did you see at the entrance? As you enter the house, what did you see inside the house? So here you can take all the small details and put them together and form a paragraph. Okay, here. what were the things seen in the house? So I had some ideas. So these are the things that I put. Okay, old furniture, portraits, bed, doors, pillow, chair, and black cat. Okay, these are some examples that I had. So you can add on to these ideas so that you have a variety of ideas to describe the things that you saw in the house. Okay, now let's move on to the next slide. Now we are going to look at your feelings when you were in the house. How did you feel when you were in the house? Did you feel scared, worried, curious, or were you happy there? Definitely you would not feel happy, right? That is the wrong feeling. Okay, so pick the right feeling to describe how you felt when you were in the house to bring the mood into your writing. Now let's next task. Did you hear any sounds in the house? The howling of the wind, for example, or anybody's laughter, or did somebody scream? Or did you hear sounds of animals such as mewing or barking? Okay, so these are some other descriptive ideas that you can add in your descriptions when you write. Okay, now let us look at the introduction of the. For years, the house at the end of our road lay empty. It was old, dark, and creepy. Nobody has ever visited the house. I heard that it was haunted. To know the truth, I decided to explore the deserted house. So the descriptive ideas that I've used here are old, dark, and creepy, haunted, and deserted house. Okay, to bring the idea. Okay, let us move on to the next paragraph. Now, in paragraph 2, I have two questions that you can use to extend your description. First, when did you go to the house? And describe the mood in the house. Okay, so let us see how I have laid the ideas for paragraph 2. On one quiet, sultry afternoon, I walked boldly up to the place. I pushed open the creaky, rusty gate and strode up to the front door. One turn of the rusty doorknob and the door clicked open. I could feel a rush of cold, damp air. The house was empty except for cobwebs everywhere. Now, in this paragraph, the descriptive ideas that I have brought here is describing the weather, quite sultry afternoon, then describing bringing in the sense of sound, creaky, rusty gate, then rusty doorknob, rush of cold, damp air, empty, and cobwebs. Alright, now let us look at paragraph 3. Okay, in paragraph 3, you're going to describe what did you see in the house and how you felt when you saw those things. Okay, so here if you see in paragraph 3, I've laid out the idea on things that I see in the house and also how I felt when I saw those things. Okay, so suddenly there was a loud crash. Okay, sense of sound. It appeared to have come from upstairs. My hair stood on end. I hesitated. I was confused and afraid. I was at sixes and sevens about whether to proceed upstairs or turn tail and run. I tiptoed under the stairs to investigate. When I reached the top of the stairs, I saw 3 doors on one side of a passageway. The doors were shut and dust was everywhere. I trod softly up to the first door and turned the knob. The room contained dusty furniture. There was an antique carved chair next to a brass bed. The pillows and sheets were in disarray. It appeared as though the occupants had left the room in a hurry. An overpowering musty smell emanated from the room. Now let us move on to paragraph 4. Okay, in paragraph 4, we are going to explore the other parts of the houses. For example, the bathroom, kitchen or bedroom, or another bedroom. Okay, let us see what are the descriptions that have been put here. Then came the sound of another loud crash. It seemed to come from the last room at the end of the passageway. I warily made my way towards the room, but changed my mind and opened the second door instead. There was a framed picture of a beautiful woman on the left wall. On the adjoining wall was a picture of a large group of men and women in formal attire. They looked like executives posing for a company photograph. I walked into the room and surveyed the attached bathroom. There were some badly worn toothbrushes and a dry and cracked cake of soap in the sink. Okay, I'm describing one room and also a bathroom here. Okay, let us see in the next paragraph. Okay, paragraph 4. Okay, I heard another loud crash and was certain that someone was in the house. I stole down into the last room and put my ear to the door. I heard sounds and muffled voices. Then I went back to the first room to look for a stick or something that I could possibly defend myself. I found a feather duster. I slipped back to the third room and cautiously opened the door. I was surprised to see two children trying to get onto a large wooden rocking horse. The room appeared to have belonged to a young child. There were old toys strewn everywhere. The children stared at me, and the stares turned into smiles the next instant. As I was about to caution them, they disappeared into the thin air. I could sense danger and left the house immediately. I never returned to the abandoned house after that day. So if you see in today's lesson, we have explored some ways on how to work about on writing a descriptive essay. Before writing a descriptive essay, first you have to plan. You have to plan the descriptive words that you want to use, and you have to work on a draft by writing down some questions as how I've given you today to work on your descriptive ideas. At the same time, all the ideas can be put into the 5 senses that we have explored in this essay. So I hope this lesson was helpful to you, and to improve yourself, one thing that you can do is, after this lesson, you can try writing the same essay on your own and compare to the essay that I have shared with you, so that you can see what are the things that you can improvise. Alright, so remember, if you don't practice, you will not improve. Practice makes perfect. Thank you.